Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2 with Cyril's best stunt double in the red, the Rocky Zerg. It's Solar. Facing off against a more relatable player in the blue, the People's Terran. We have Cure in a best of 7 Terran versus Zerg showdown, where I guarantee you both these players are going to throw some wild punches. We're going at least 4 rounds, but before we get started, all I'll ask is to throw a quick jab at the like button and uppercut subscribe. And Jimmy, what are we? I know boxing. It's a real sport. 1,599 likes on this video, on this cast, and I'll cast another one. And I'll probably do it anyways because I don't know what else I'd do with my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully you've had a good day so far, and hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better as Cure scours for hatchery. Starts off with a Reaper build, gonna get up in Solar's face and keep him cowering on the creep, just like you don't see in every single cinematic involving Zerg. But the Reapers have the run of the place, at least until Zergling speed is completed. And Solar not even bothering to try to slip out a drone. He's already got the Overlord on the other side of the map. He's got a Queen throwing some knitting needles out at the Reapers. I'm sure they'll run out of ammo soon. Oh, but with 2 Queens on the low ground, how does Solar handle this? Because Cure already has 3 command centers on the way. The greedy Terran he is. I expect a bloodbath, a massacre. In other words, great entertainment from this match. These are 2 of the most consistent players. In fact, these are 2 of the players closest to the average demographic of those of you watching. Both these players, actually I'm not sure Solar's quite there, in the over 30 club. We've seen so many matches where their macro is top-notch, and their micro allows the game to continue on a regular basis. Recently, I've been loving Solar's kind of brute force. I gotta come up with a better name than just a brute force build, because that really doesn't narrow it down with 95% of Zergs who aren't Cyril. Okay, all Zergs who aren't Cyril. But the Ultralisk Corruptor style, which... saying it's the F2 A-move Zerg is certainly reductionist, as the amount of people who think you A-move Banelings and have any real effect upsets me. But I hide it well. But Cure, on the other hand, is kind of been going with the same strategy for even longer. The Marines, tanks into Ghosts and Liberators has been a tried-and-true strategy for just about a decade of Legacy of the Void. Yes, Legacy of the Void is a decade old. 2015. 23 years ago. But Starport is on the way. Already has those 2 racks at the front. All the production sitting right at the front here for Cure. I mean, that's kind of comes with the territory when you go for the early Reapers. I'm kind of surprised he did it on that side of the map as well. But bounces one of the Queens away. Dodges with the Spore. Oh, now that's just gratuitous. Oh, come on. Everybody dance now. Oh, you can't blame me for that one. That was all you... It's gonna be one of those days, isn't it? One of those days where I can barely keep track of where I started the sentence and hope it ends up somewhere interesting, entertaining, or somewhere in between. 2, one of those days where Cure decides maybe today is the day that a Hellbat timing will work. I don't know. The last 4 or 5 days he tried it. In fact, we get some very quick basis of comparison. I think just recently, I'm not sure when it was posted, but we saw Cyril versus Cure. And Cyril is Cyril. He dismantled Cure. Cure got a cheeky bunker rush cheesing, but Cyril just had a leg up on him the whole time, and not in the fun way. Now, Solar is a bit more even-keeled here. I don't think Solar will have that decisive advantage throughout the match. But what Solar doesn't have in being a step ahead, like Cyril does, it's a lack of caring about being a step behind. As long as you're still standing, that's what matters. And right now, the Hellbats are standing right out in front of everything. The Roaches and the Queens, and this should be enough from Solar, but the Hellbats are burninating across the countryside. A couple of the Queens being roasted to start. Some Stim Marines behind. Yeah, that's... no. Okay, so it appears it is another day. 8 SCVs died to Zerglings, meanwhile. So it appears... all right, let's, yep. Day 5 in a row. Hellbat timing did not work. But maybe tomorrow. I don't know. Honestly, it's one of those builds that I could almost forgive it because this is a best of 7. Okay? This is a best of 7. But that's not let's dispel with the rumor that that's the thought process from Kier. I don't think he's like, well, I'm gonna do the Hellbat timing, so he's scared of... Nobody's scared of a Hellbat timing. They haven't been since Heart of the Swarm. Kier. Okay, but Terrans have been set in their ways from before that. Just ask my good friend Artosis. So, double drop in the main. Roach is already there to intercept. More roaches knocking on Kier's door, but it's a surprisingly complicated process to get inside. Secret handshake and a bunch of corrosive biles are going to be required. The siege tanks holding the line behind. And obliterating some of the Ravagers. Solar a bit sloppy. Losing some of the Ravagers to start. The most valuable parts of this army by far. The double drop will be boxed out by the roaches. And Solar with a 50 supply lead. Now it's in roaches, which of all supply leads is probably the least meaningful. But it's still something. 1-1 will be done momentarily. Cure is bottled up in his base. And Solar, well, I said it wouldn't be like Cyril versus Cure. But, I'd be hard-pressed to point out the differences right now. As, well, the creep spread. Okay, that's where I'm gonna click on the... Not click on, but point out the creep spread. Okay, I found something. He did lose some queens and definitely needs injects, so that's why the creep spread isn't pushed back out. But I digress. Stop rationalizing. Just take your win. Well, the Ravagers. 1-1 is done. So Solar has to be a little bit careful. A bunch of dudes with drugs and guns are a surprisingly dangerous force against, well, pretty much anything. So, I could do a documentary on my neighbors, but ain't nobody got time for that. One Hellbat taken down, finally removing us from the idea that Hellbats were ever going to be a good one. But the Marines, on the other hand, going to gun down a few drones. The reinforcements actually dragged all the way back across the map. And now the Marines on the high ground, making things even more difficult. Well, 7 more drones dead. That drop dragging most of the army back, but behind it, Hive Tech is already on the way. A single roach has been preventing this. Why can't they just land on it? I don't know. No! Regulations! Thought we got rid of those. Well, and Cure is up to 150 supply. A key part of this is Solar knocked him back to 2 bases, but it was so early on that he still had full mining from his mate. He wasn't nearly in the kind of dire economic situation you find yourself in just a couple minutes later on. So Cure was able to pump out 164 supply at Terran. It is looking quite healthy right now. But 3 Vipers in production for Solar are an existential threat, and there's the Ultralisk Cavern. All right, Solar. Oh no, liberate! I'm taken down, but that is a bio ball rolling across the map. Cure, the master of more strategic than tactical decision making. Though, wow, this is... Where is everyone going? The Zerglings will get into the 3rd base force to lift off just moments after it landed, but the siege tank push begins. The Viper should be out. I'm sure they're, gathering energy from the natural. A bit of a precarious position to be doing so, but better to get energy than not have it, obviously. Takes out the 4th base. Solar will take the alternative. 2-2 is about to be done. Cure will have a dangerous army, but chitinous plating has begun. Adrenal glands as well, +1 melee. No ultras in production because Solar's maxed out. He's suffering from not being able to build any more supply. Blinding Cloud could be devastating. Gets it on the tanks. More tanks as well. Full energy Viper goes down without casting anything. But he'll overrun the tanks. He took his sweet, sweet time taking out the tanks. And the bio ball just comes rolling back around. 3 SCVs dead. I think a few more Zerg up. 3 ultras in production. Adrenal gland's about to complete, but Solar, that was Not great, not terrible. He definitely did not take full advantage. The blinding clouds hit, but he didn't take out the tanks. The fact that they were allowed to regain the power of sight and use it to murder a few dozen more Zergs was clearly not ideal. But Solar still has, well, I was going to say he still has a bank, but that's not really true. He still has an economic advantage, which is technically correct. But Cure just has the M. He has the Marines, the Marauders, the Medevacs, and the tanks moving his way across the map. But here come the Ultralisks and Full Energy Vipers. Blinding Cloud right into the claws, cleaving through 3 Ultras, just cleaving the army in twain. But the Marauders are chunking him up as well. This is not going as well as either I or Solar hoped. And the Terran army just keeps marauding across the field. Again, Solar takes a bold fight. And maybe should have just italicized it. I think he may have killed his own Ultra with Corrosive Bile. Oh, no. Oh. This is going from to as Solar takes a head-on collision, and unfortunately, Cure withstands it. Solar's building more Ultras. Cure is still in kind of a precarious position economically. He keeps losing SCVs. Zergling counterattacks keep coming in. Banelings rolling by. +2 Carapace is done. But the Ultras, well, as a great man once said, Hydra many years ago, and Ultras have been buffed many times, but when I'm really far ahead and I want to lose, I build Ultras. And the reason for that is, 1, because Hydra hated everything, but 2, who doesn't nowadays? Ahead of his time. But 2, Ultras, the higher skill your opponent, the more reliable their multitasking and their micro. Ultras are just not a nuanced unit. You throw them in a certain direction and you hope for the best. But there's only so much micro you can do with a unit the size of your mother. So the Ultra just melts under the Bioball fire. Transfuses the hatchery. Optimism at its finest. Please. No. No, that ain't happening. No parasitic bombs. And what are we missing? The Corruptors. It's the Corruptors. I'm recognizing it now. That's the special sauce that Solar loves to slather over the top of the Ultras. The Corruptors to take the Medevacs out of the sky. The Corruptors to deny the idea of Liberators in general. The Corruptors to shut down drops before they can start. The Blinding Clouds are good, but playing peekaboo with the Terran army is not going to be enough. Another counterattack comes in. Ultras trying to cleave through. Infantry armor level 3 is done. Infantry weapons already there. This counterattack that the Ultras, the Marauder count, 30 Marauders. That is a... That is a gaggle. No, that's way more than a gaggle. What am I saying? That's a convention. All right, that is a brouhaha of Marauders right there. Which I still don't acknowledge as a real word, but I will use it on every occasion, which is a bit ironic. And you might be like, that's not what irony is. Well, I don't acknowledge ironic as a real word, but I still... What a mess. Solar has lost 7,000 more resources. The Medevacs, well, they're out of energy, which I guess is something. It feels like the momentum has shifted, and so is the supply. There's a Liberator somewhere. I don't actually know. Maybe those 7 drones died at that base. Either way, Solar has successfully... I'm not going to say botched it, but he dunked it off the rim right now, which is another way to say botched it, but it's, you know, we're doing the sports ball metaphors today. I know boxing has no ball. I'm not saying that. He went for the big knockout blow multiple times. And multiple times, Cure just kind of stood his ground, maybe took a quick step back. and let Solar wear himself out, which is actually what Solar usually does to his opponents. But Cure's patience seems to be outlasting him so far. There's one more opportunity. Infestors kind of desperately put on the field. There are no ghosts. Fungal's coming through. The Viper, come on, Vipers, get over there. Now is not the time. Jimmy, turn the alerts off. Unless they're to show a GG incoming, as Solar is moments away from disaster. The Vipers. Why they got a one tank on the ramp? The Ultras with the creep to springboard off of, though. Again, I keep getting excited for the Ultras to come down the ramp, which is just getting excited to watch them get turned into significantly more pieces of Ultras by the Marauders. He does have 3-3 as well, but those Marauders do so much damage. Another Ultra. I guess you don't need Corruptors if the Medivacs are entirely out of energy because he's stimming so much. Finally, the Marauder count has dwindled to such a point that the Ultras might be able to clean it up, but then he just picks up. They can still do that, even if they don't have energy. So, Cure... Well... Solar survives. And the Get off my creep! Brenda, oh... We need a win, Susan. We need a win. Yeah, that's true. I don't... Solar has 66 drones, but Cure, his main command center ended up... But there's a lot of buildings floating around, SCVs. The income is not nearly as stable as you might think here for Cure. Despite how many bases he has, he's maintained about a similar income, and considering he's lost 8,000 less resources, that's just fine. Solar is consolidating. More Ultras on the way. He's gone so far down this road, there's no turning around now. There hasn't been any space to really get a Spire. The spellcasters have not been perfectly timed here. Like, Infestors and Vipers, they gotta work together. Alright? They're both pretty egotistical, you might imagine, and finicky in their needs. But if you don't combine with the wombo combo of Fungal, Parasitic Bomb, Blinding Cloud, you're just not reaching your maximum potential. It's all just kinetic and downwards at that point, so... Ultras heading north and south simultaneously. Cure back at 200 supply. What a brawl. This is exactly what I expected from this series. I just didn't expect it so clearly in game number 1. You know, it's nice to be surprised. The Bioball again stimming those Medivacs like, have you heard of Caduceus Reactor? Cure will not be scammed by any of these fancy new upgrades the kids are getting nowadays. Even Clem is. There's the Spire. Finally, something. Parasitic Bomb. It doesn't stack. 3 Parasitic Bombs. It takes 2 of them. Now, all those Medivacs are going to be incredibly upset. None of them dead, though. Couple siege tanks. Another massive bio push from the north side. He may accidentally consume his own natural to death, but at this point, whatever. The Zerglings. Oh no, the Chew Toy Depot. Yeah, there is a risk of it. More Marauders being chewed up. The reinforcements, but Cure going for the base trade. That's kind of a crazy choice. I guess he's more than halfway across the map. Many of the Ultras are on the other side. Half the drones are, well, oh, what a mess. Blinding Cloud, Parasitic Bomb, a lot of energy here. Trying to maximize it. One more Parabomb could wipe out the Medivacs, but he doesn't have the energy, and again, the Terran army survives. Cure lives through it, but he loses 29 SCVs at home. And now the Queens, the hero lists come out, and there is no microing out of this one, not at least on the creep. I think Solar... He may have done it. The counter-attack with... He committed like 80% of his army to the counter-attack, and Cure just said, well, I guess there's no home to go back to. Lifting his buildings, Some of them are burning. Solar is still mining. Cure has less SCVs than he started with. Huh. He's done it. And just like that, after, oh my, 70,000 resources lost in just over 20 minutes. 14 Ultras, 500 Zerglings, 200 Marines. The Bio Army, again, Solar's fighting off creep. But this time he does have, well, 1, Cure has 8 SCVs. And 2, he does have Parasitic Bomb to work with. And Solar seems to be quite antsy. Really wants to make sure Cure doesn't stabilize, but I don't think there's any stabilizing at this point. There is not a realistic amount of mules that can drag you out of this situation. Solar still, it's 200 supply. All right, Cure. But there are 2 things he can do, and they're both rhyme with G. Well, they are G. Just like Cure could have executed that one better, but Solar takes game number 1. Trundles across the map with the Ultras. It's not about how many Ultras you lose. It's about how many you have to replace them. 7 Ultras on the field as the game ended. Well, so I think that sets the tone for the series quite well, as we can expect an intense war of attrition. I'm going to add this. Solar is using the Cyril portrait, one of his World Championship portraits, loading into the game. Cure is, of course, using the starter portrait, which you can see a version of in the profile portrait of this channel, in case you never got that reference. We're just spelling that one out. But Cure, no! 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 This is exactly what he did against Cyril as well. Don't just 2 racks. Or, no, it's 3 racks. Oh, you filthy Terran cheat. You disgusting. This is, like, he has a script. I feel like Terrans are the type of people who write manifestos. Okay? Like, Zergs will just go on a bender and fall asleep drunk somewhere, which I think is just Finland in general. Protoss will say, oh shucks, and go home to their wife and family. Meanwhile, and then on the second game, I will proxy 3 racks, and the 3rd racks will be hidden from the first 2 racks. So even if they scout the first 2 racks, they will not know about the 3rd racks. Thus, adding an extra dimension to my strategy, which is at least 2 more dimensions than Zerg players have ever had to contemplate, because Zerg is so easy. In fact, Cure, and this is a direct quote, well, a translated quote, he beat Solar and Dark in GSL a couple years ago. But it sticks out in my mind because Solar and Dark were heavily favored at the time. They were heavily favored. He beat them both 2-0. And Cure, what did he say? Why do you think you were able to accomplish this? He said, because I work hard and practice, and Zerg players are lazy. Which, you know, so far Solar not so lazy, and neither are these SCVs. The bunkers! Here we go! The drones pulled en masse off the line. He only has like 4 of them mining, making sure he saw. Oh, he didn't see the 3rd racks. The 3rd racks is the 3rd rail here. Not knowing about it is very dangerous. A spine crawler will be on the way. 10 Zerglings in production. Every single second counts for so much right now. The Zerglings popping out. The SCV jammed up into the corner. I don't even know if he can attack it there. It looks like you should be able to, but some of the drones gonna go down. Trying to mineral walk past. Stop right there. Citizens arrest. The Predator drones out for blood, and the Zerglings will clean up the rest. Okay, well. All right. He lost 5 drones. And the Marines, they're going to keep coming, and they don't stop coming, but it isn't over. You might think, well, he held. No. Solar only has 14 drones. There are mules, which actually gives Cure more income. And eventually, the Marines can overrun the defenses. It's a balancing act. Cure has to try to gauge how many drones he killed. He was using one of the barracks to spot, but he has to try to figure out whether he killed enough drones to do a follow-up all-in, or whether that's completely futile. I'm gonna assume he's sending a few more Marines across the map. He's got 11 Marines. There are 2 spine crawlers, the backbone of the defense here. But wow, this is an elder cheese. Ye old proxy racks bunker rush. I believe Boxer doing this before Clem was born. And during the Brood War. And the boys are pulled! What, you run out of Marines? Kind of? Well, it's spotted. He's gonna make a 3rd spine crawler. There's Zerglings on the way. The queens have energy. Susan, are you ready? I'm ready, Brenda. I don't know if it's gonna be enough. Don't talk like that. And don't do too much of the bit. The all-in's coming. The SCVs are on the front lines. There's enough for 2 transfuses. Stagger some between. The healing over time. Try to take advantage of it, but the Marines! Oh, no. Oh, my. Oh, God, it worked. Oh, sweet Kerrigan. That's just too many Marines. The boys were pulled. They tanked the damage from the spine crawlers, and he's tearing everything else apart. It's all over but the G's. No, there's no... No. 9 to 6 drones. Queen! Assassinated. The Marines just rattling up. GG. Cure! Brings it back. Oh no. With ye old bunker rush. And the bunker, not really the important part. The Marines, obviously. But the bunker forces the issue. You need to stop. If the bunker finishes, you lose the game. Right there. But, that's why the bunker is built. Obviously, you'd love to finish it. But distracting the drones and the Zerglings at all. And it was, I think, that 3rd Rax. That Solar didn't actually scout the extra dimension. Now... I want to mention as well, somehow that's what popped into my head, but this is from the Super 7 Showdown on Soup Live. By the way, Jimmy, souplive.com/super7s, absolutely free to follow him. It's the Korean streaming site. It's actually, I think it's higher quality than Twitch, but you can check out all these matches live. Give him a follow. And technically you can subscribe over there, get the replays, cast them for yourself if you don't like... the way I'm going about it, but thank you again to the Super 7s for putting on these top tier matches between especially the Korean players. We don't have too many tournaments nowadays featuring them, and these two just laying into each other. That is the most classic Korean Terran thing. Now, what I absolutely love and also hate, like in equal parts, I can do both things. Okay, multitasking. It's important skill to have. But, he just did that against Sarah. Honestly, I'm not 100% sure this match was played before or after that. But either way, it's hilarious. And two, lose a game, immediate bunker rush. Oh, Kier. Never change. He's like, I won't. Okay, it was rhetorical. Cure is like a box of chocolates that you already ate. You know what you're going to get. And you've already had it. And you'll ask for more, and it'll be the exact same identical box. But you liked it enough to ask. So. That's all I got to say about that. 3rd base on the way for Solar. He is mining gas, though. He's not going to take the risk of any sort of shenanigans. Wait, he has exactly 100 gas. Why aren't you getting speed? Oh, he wants... Okay, he wants the hatch before the Reaper gets there. And then he's going to get speed with 100 minerals. It's just a little interesting. Ah, okay, so he's leaving his options open. If it was like a 2 racks or proxy racks, and he figured that out, he could get speed before the 3rd hatch. Or if the SCV was blocking, for example. Actually, I like that a lot. You can go either direction with the early gas. It's such an important part because you have so few drones. Pulling the drones off of gas that early is a big part of kind of bolstering your economy in the early game. So if you don't min-max that, then you're just going to be behind. I think Solar splitting the difference well. Kira taking advantage of that pocket 3rd command center in order to just get another free base on location. And now, Cloak Banshee. You have a chance to inspire, Kira. You have a chance to really sell us, show us why. No, it's just a Banshee. All right, the fusion core. It's right there. Kind of expensive, but if there was ever a map for no, it's just a Banshee with Cloak. Hellion Banshee. Overlord gonna wander in menacingly. What do you have to say for yourself? Forget I asked. Going to see the tech lab upgrading, of course. It could be a bluff. He doesn't get the little icon. That's just for us. But you can't take the risk. It's a bluff. Because one Cloak Banshee could pretty much win the game on its own if you don't have detection. So Solar is getting those Spore Crawlers. He is already at 50 drones and counting. This map is so incredibly massive that it takes so long to get across. I wouldn't be surprised if both players get to 200 supply like 8.5 minutes. Assuming Cure doesn't decide to go for an ill-fated run-by. Or even a non-ill-fated run-by. Either way would kind of turn things a bit. Banshee poking into the main layer, halfway there. Evolution Chamber 1. Can I get 2? Yes. Thank you. Going through the squares with the Reaper Hellion. Baneling Nest on the way. Engineering Base finishing for Cure as well. So, we've got a full-on macro game. Five racks so far. I doubt it'll end there. Baneling Nest. Just naming the production tab things. The Banshee. He only built one. He did... Wait. He canceled Cloak. Interesting. Who did fake it at the end. Gears up to 60 SCVs. Solar's already at 71 drones. He's adding 2 more hatcheries. He hasn't committed to any lair tech outside of Baneling speed. Is it time for a Hydra game? Do we go Hydras or straight to Hive? It's like, whatever gets Ultras faster. Now, hold. I don't know about Ultras on this map. Just in case we go to that direction. With the squares down the center, which certainly make things difficult for more well-endowed units. Yeah, we'll stick with that. Can make it very complicated for Ultras to actually engage the army. They can't go through the squares. So Ultralisks, it is. Meanwhile, Cure clearing out some of the creep north of the 4th base. Well, 3rd base, I guess, technically. Over at the 3 o'clock position. Hydra is done, is completed, but here comes Cure. He's going to have the triple threat. Stim, combat, shield, 1-1. I guess that's 4 things, but we'll count the upgrades as 1 to maintain the nomenclature. Down goes yet another Overlord. Baneling speed is done, though. Solar, notably, quite far off his 1-1 upgrades, though. The Queens will tank some of the damage. Splits off the Hellbats to protect the tank. Get down, Mr. Tank! Oh my, it worked perfectly. He will eventually lose it, but the Hellbats throw themselves in front. And quite a good trade for Solar overall. Despite the losses of the tank and the Hellbats, that's the best opportunity for the Hellbats at this stage of the game. 11 Marines at a time. 1-1 is about to complete for Solar, but 2-2 has already begun for Cure. He's at exactly 60 SCVs. He's not building anymore. He's got the Octo Racks completed. Full Marine production. And they're just going to keep parading across the map. You can see it on the mini-map. Continually working their way across. Essentially a wave defense here. Except it's the Zerg who's on defense. Again, a bit odd from a lore perspective, but... $145 supply across the board. As neither player going to be able to max out with this sort of attack on the way across. Siege tanks jammed in. Zerglings try to counter, but supply depots easily in place. And Cure jamming himself into the corner. The next big break point, the upgrades. But I think we might be seeing an engagement before then. Drops to the low ground. Solar will have to go all the way around, more terrestrially bound. And more Marines found halfway across on the ground. His strategy is sound, but ooh, those Marines got clowned. Picks up, heads back to the 4. Queens gonna tank the tank hits. Transfuses will hold. Eventually the knitting crew might be able to work through it. Lings and Banes off creep though. Don't really get the connections they're looking for. Queens being gunned down as well. Hive has begun, but there's going to be about a 30-second window where the 2-2 upgrades are completed for Cure, and they haven't yet for Solar. And that is quite a window to do damage. He's still at 60 SCVs. The Banshee is still around. The upgrades just finished for Cure right as Solar engages. Worst case scenario for him. The Banelings not able to get through the choke point. And the Banshee is still getting work done. 4 or 5 kills as no one's really paying attention to the low ground here. The Queens, unfortunately unable to fly when they're dead, or in general. 2-2 now done for Solar, but he's already suffered some heavy losses. At this point, all you can look forward to is going to be Vipers, but those are still quite far off. 7 more drones. Oh, those are the 7 drones that died, but 2 siege tanks on the back line. 1 Viper in production. He can't even afford a second. There we go. 3 Vipers in total. Something to try to dislodge this position, but Cure continues forward. The siege tanks leapfrogging. Liberator over the top to protect it from the Zerglings as well. A huge counterattack out of Solar. Trying to engage the Hydras directly isn't going to work out. Easily... yeah, the Hydras win. Not as hard as I would have expected, but the Lings and Banes in position in the center to interrupt or intercept the Marines. Gets on top of the siege tank, but big hit on the Banes. The Vipers gathering energy from the main hive. Drones long distance mining from the gold, it looks like. The medevacs are out of energy yet again, as Cure keeps stimming his army across the map. It's a good and a bad thing to have medevacs out of energy. One, it means you have units you healed, ideally. Of course, 2 is you can't heal them anymore. You don't have any more energy. I don't need to spell this out. Solar with only 68 Zerglings. Those 3 Vipers are the most important part right now. Obviously, by far. Technically, Cure is not hitting anything critical at this moment, but that's about to change. It looks like Solar's trying to wait until he gets the +1 ranged attack, but he can't wait any longer. Well, he does anyways. Siege tank on the high ground is hitting the base. The Marines are closing in. No parabombs. He really wants to abduct or blinding cloud here. Trying to move by. Blinding cloud on one tank, on some of the Marines, yanks the tank over the top, gets it with the Hydras. But the other tank comes out of the cloud, angrier than ever. I know I'm editorializing, but let's be honest here. More blinding clouds, yanks the Liberators away. 9 drones dead. Is it the Banshee? No, the Banshee has 26 kills. I think almost all of them are drones. The hero if this Banshee had just died, then Solar would be winning. He actually dismantled that push. But he's down 6 workers. I kept looking at the workers being lost and assuming it was the Terran. I mean, consciously, you know it's not. It's drones. The icon is drones. But it felt wrong, but the Banshee just plinking away at the drones. And Solar, he wins the battle. But the war? And he's not getting a gold base. Cure lifts his main command center and floats it on over to the gold. And he's still just building 12 Marines, a couple tanks, a couple medevacs. There's going to be lurkers with range, which will give Solar another opportunity to really capitalize on his tech. As Cure has been building the same thing for, well, like the last 10 minutes. The Banshee! The hero slash villain. Really depends on your perspective. Just do it. Just do it. Okay, finally dies. I was hoping it would parabomb it for dramatic effect, but probably good he didn't. Hydra Lunge is on the way. Adrenal Glands. Lurker range is about to complete. And that's going to be too much for Cure to handle. Honestly, even a couple lurkers with range are not really a viable, not really a tenable option to deal with. Nidus is on the way. Now that is a push. Coming to the north side yet again. Gunning down the lurkers, barely making a dent. The medevacs helping hold on, and drones are dying on the low ground. Solar does not have the luxury of time, but the blinding clouds are incredible. He can't see anything. The Ray Charles siege tank line right now. And, no, Stevie Wonder. Sorry. Maybe I'm blind. Maybe my references are blind. Either way, Cure can still see. And unfortunately, Solar can also see how few units he has left. This has been, like, it feels like Solar has been a half step away from clawing back into this for like 8 minutes straight. But Cure kept slapping him down each time. And now, the Marine tank push continues until morale improves. And since Terran morale hasn't improved for 28 years, well, Marine tank pushes it is for all of those years. I choose to believe the Vipers killed the Hive. The Lurkers? Oh my, that was just sad. Solar agrees. GG! Oh, Cure goes up 2-1. Oh, that was tough. Certainly, Cure just leans on, he has his strategy, and it works for him. And like a freight train, Solar just couldn't get off the tracks. Like, he could not find a way out of the siege tank push. The counterattacks were not in time. That map is almost impossible to execute counterattack. Is the Banshee. The one uncloaked Banshee. Honestly, I think the lack of cloak made it. It was like an undercover cop Banshee over there. All right? Just, it's so obvious that people ignore it. Not exactly sure that references are streets behind today, but please try to enjoy all the references equally. I can't believe one Banshee. I can't. It happens in uncomfortable amount of time. It's so easy to forget about that one unit that You thought you dealt with, like, a half HP Banshee? Come on. One queen. Just send a queen. What happened to the queen? Probably died to some Marines in the wrong spot, and then suddenly the Banshee. Then Solar rallied his drones away so they didn't die to the tank push, and the Banshee's like, oh, don't mind if I do. So, another tough game for Solar. Puts Kier up 2-1. He's nothing if not consistent. He will proxy Rex in the same way, on the same map, in the same position. He will do the same Marine Tank Octo Rex strat. And he'll just keep going, chugging along. His career has been, well, there's been ups and downs, but more like a rolling hill than a mountain peak. He's always been one of the, like, top 5 Terrans. At least for the modern history of StarCraft 2. Is that indicator? Okay, I want to complain to someone. I'm not sure who I would complain to. Any clouds? This is technically in the clouds, so... This indicator is slightly off. And now I've seen it, and you've seen it, and we can suffer together. Dislike and subscribe. There's a 2v2 map that's even worse. It's like literally one grid space off, which is the worst possible. The amount of times I know that it's off. I know the indicator's off. But I still cancel like a hatchery and rebuild it. Is too damn high. Okay? Alright, it really grinds my gears. It is the least most important thing. The beauty of it is that map, I believe it's called Roscallion. One of the only 2v2 maps I know the name. That and Emerald City. I don't know the names of the others. Like Sewage Plant, I assume, or some variation on that. That map was in the pool for a couple years. It left for a couple years. It's one of the maps we brought back, apparently, because people loved it so much. And honestly, it's not bad as a map. It's just that one thing. All right. Well, here we are on Amygdala. As Kier turns things around, though one might argue he's just continuing on that same path. Bounces the queen over to the side, circling speed still pretty far off. As Solar, again, I think went for the option of a hatchery slightly quicker. A Viking first from Kier. Kier and Curiouser. Third command center, of course, is about to complete. Sometimes the Viking can indicate, like, some crazy tech play behind. Most times with Kier, it indicates he wants to kill some overlords. But you know, maybe it's some crazy tech play behind. Or it's just one Banshee. No. After the... I wouldn't blame him too much after the success of the Banshee. Singular. And Banshee. Do it. Stand right there. The friendly fire. Overlord? I didn't ask. The Viking plundering. Wait. Hey, this is a message from the hatchery owners. Sir, come back here. Susan, I think he's gone. Shut up, Brenda. This was my turn. I mean, sucks to suck, Susan. Sorry, I blacked out for a moment. Roach Warren on the way. We're going back to the Roaches for Solar. They served him well in game 1, and we'll see if they can make sure Cure gets served in game 2. The Hellions, though. Wow. He goes almost all the way in and pulls right back out. What a tease. A Reaper Hellion on the way around. And what do we have here? A Liberator playing footsies with the Spore Crawler. Except the Liberator does not have feet, so that doesn't really feel fair. Meanwhile, oh no, he lines them up! Oh, it's a disaster! Oh my! 14 workers, 15 drones, dozens of Zerglings. He may never financially recover from this. Yes, there's a Zergling counterattack. Yes, there's a admittedly beautiful supply depot wall here. But, wow. Now he's gonna drop down the Viking and try to get involved. 6 SCVs dead to the counter is the only thing that makes this less horrible. But that was terrible, terrible damage. It wasn't so early that Solar can't bounce back. He's already got the 4th base on the way, but his evolution chambers are quite late in comparison. Cure definitely gets a leg up here. Infestation pit on the way. Queens, that's it. The queens have to hold. The queens moot. The counterattack again. Cure, not very diligent about leaving anything at his 3rd. He lifts the command center. How many Zerglings were there? Couldn't have been that many. I don't know, they're very scary though. All right, very intimidating. So, Hive on the way, 7 minutes. Solar, 71 drones. What do we have over here? The Viking just chilling. Here, gunning down some of the roaches. No upgrades on either side. Well, roach speed, now combat, shield, and stim. But we're going to end up once again in a macro game. As the opportunity to do critical early damage has mostly ended. So, early game, I would say, is when you haven't yet reached, like, your full composition for the mid game. Like that early Hellion pressure against Zerglings with speed. Mid game is that, like, 75 to 180 supply. You've got a lot of units, but you're not maxed out. You're not worrying about what the unit composition is. You're just trying to get enough of it. And then the late game is when you start maxing out and have to kind of decide what you actually want. And then the end game is when we start doing the bean counter phase of how many minerals are in this spot, and how much money do you have in the bank, and how's your investment portfolio looking? Oh, don't look at that. Okay, that's enough. And I'm watching this video to get away from that. Okay. Ultralisk Cavern is on the way. And despite the early damage, I think still a good opportunity to get things done with the Ultras. Here, not committing to the all-out tank push. He's got 75 SCVs, building a 4th command center. He's settling in to a full-bodied late game here with, well, he doesn't have a Ghost Academy on the way. But otherwise, going to have plenty of economy and production. 6 racks, 2 factories, 4 command centers, 0 fucks. Meanwhile, Ultralisk Cavern's about to complete. +1 melee just started, so that's going to be a long upgrade road. But the rocks being taken down, archaeological expeditions on either side to both open up the gold base as well as more paths out on the map. Tank push coming out. Cure. 5 tanks, 74 marines, 6 medevacs overhead, and battling speed is very conspicuously not done, and it's actually quite far off. This is an uncomfortable timing. There are 3 Vipers somewhere. Double drop coming in. The Marines just targeting on the roaches one by one. I think they have enough to actually beat them. Indeed they do. Some Zerglings coming in. The Viking hits the deck trying to participate, which will be the death of it. But he needs to deal with the tank push. The Marines are on top of the base. He really doesn't want to lose this hatchery. It wouldn't be the end of the world, but it certainly wouldn't help. Banelings on creep, so helping out. Zergling counterattack gets across the map, which allows me to point out no adrenal glands yet, but the blinding clouds on the vast majority of the tanks. In fact, all of them. The Ultras are dying, but the Marines, they're enough to drive it back for now. What do we got on the other side? The medevacs, oh. Well, nothing left over there. Carapace is now done. Chitinous plating for the Ultras. Though they only have +1 base upgrade on. 2-2 done for Cure. He hasn't actually started his 3-3 upgrade. Solar's down 25 supply. Even with 3 more Ultras in production. Oh no, the drones! Machine gun down. And the hatchery doesn't take too much longer. Banelings? Oh, Cure. What? They'll expect one of us in the wreckage, brother. Somehow just 1 Marine. 13 drones dead, and the hatchery. Still no adrenal glands. Especially when you got... Well, he doesn't have that many Zerglings. There are 4 or 5 Ultras on the field. Building more. Ghost Academy on the way, which Cure is usually loath to get. And even here, the Ultra chomping through. Always satisfying to watch it actually connect. Oh, that is a lot of siege tanks. So much blinding cloud. 3 Vipers. Gets 1 gun down before they get to the back line. The Ultra... Anything for transfuse? No. Taken down. Meanwhile, the Ultra's chewing through with a counterattack. The reinforcements decide, you know what? Never mind, never mind. Picks up into the medevac. The Ghost Academy. No one's going to school anymore. Transfusing the Ultra. The El Chapo Lisk cleaving through. Though the upgrade's still kind of lackluster. The army did a full round the world tour. The Ultras went through the 3rd, past the 4th, as couldn't really engage, and joined up with the main army. And Solar now has taken the supply lead. Though it isn't decisive. Chewing through even more rocks. Ultras don't care. We'll see if he notices adrenal glands. One of the easiest upgrades to miss. Especially if you have a bunch of Ultras kind of obscuring the Zerglings. Working on the rocks, I think. Wanted to make sure he didn't have any Banelings hitting them. Ultras, quite a hard counter to rocks. Natural predator of them. An optimistic drop out of Cure. I don't think he realized he just now is restarting his Ghost Academy. That's quite a big mistake. I'm pretty sure he didn't realize the Ultras were using it as a chew toy on the other side of the map. Which means the Ghosts are still quite a ways off. There's Adrenal Gland Spire. Solar finally got a moment to look through his base, be like, okay, alright, fine, what can I build? And he comes up with a Spire, Adrenal Glands. He's already got +2 melee attack and +3 carapace on the way. Cure is locking down his quadrant of the map. He's got the 3 o'clock base. He's got it down the center. Solar has locked down about half the map himself. He has 78 drones. But we're going into that full late game army composition. Which, because this isn't Clem versus Cyril, is hard to predict which way it's gonna go. Even Clem versus Cyril really, but I mean it more like, instead of a chess match, where, more like a chess boxing match, just a full-on boxing match here. So we're throwing the Ultras towards the planetary at the 3 o'clock. He has more Ultras, 7 Ultras on the field. Cure has one of his haphazard walls, which actually work quite well against Zerglings, less well against the Ultralisks, which will just cleave right through. He's just eating the Liberator fire. Decides he isn't that hungry. Corrosive Biles, knock out 1 unlucky SCV. And finally, a Fusion Core invested in for Cure. Very doubtful we're going for battle cruisers, let's be honest here. That is a very dead Ravager. Got him. Some missile turrets out in front. Ghost now joining the field en masse. There is the Spire done. The depots were rebuilt only to be torn down yet again. And he drops to the other side. Where are those Corruptors? The snipes are lined up, but the Ghosts do not have... Ooh. Ooh, you love to see it. Well, it depends on who you are. I'll be honest here. I love to see it. The Ultras are kind of trapped inside of the walls, though, behind enemy lines, but the Banelings will roll into the planetary, and it just annihilated. Solar retreating corrosive bow takes out the missile turret. 29 SCVs went down alongside that command center. But a double drop over to the 9 o'clock, gonna kill a lot of the drones as well. The Queens getting up close and personal. Could maybe help to target down the medevacs, but not quite enough. The creep spread is still out there. Not so far out that he can see every step that Cure takes. But he's still watching. 5 more Ultras in production. Very conspicuously here, not a single Corruptor. Not a single Corruptor. Despite the Spire being finished, the Liberator count is growing. He's had 5 of them. Some Widow Mines being added in. The Ghost, 10. Infestors on the way. Does he have Burrow? Usually kind of comes as a package deal. The Changelings gunned down. Ultras brought back to full HP. He's going to have near double digits, which becoming a bit unwieldy. +1 fire attack is in production, but Solar now has... Is this going to be 6, 1, 2, 7, 8? His half the map. 8 bases. Advanced ballistics now on the way for Cure, for those Liberators. But he's holding. He's still maxed out. He's got Ghosts. He's got Liberators. That's the recipe for a turnaround. But not this moment as the Ultra's looking to close in. Solar needs to either completely commit to these counterattacks or upgrade his arm. Add those Corruptors in. Maybe some Broods. Definitely Infestors. Infestor looking for the opportunity. I don't think it was spotted yet. Sometimes the first fungal is the most important one. Can be the game-winning one as well. Don't think he realized he didn't get Burrow yet. I don't think it's a lack of budget allocation, as Solar could upgrade Burrow 20 times over. But we see the Mass Overseer late game. The roguelike. Those Liberators are... the Venn diagram of freedom is overlapping. The Ghost, though. The musket line and the Venn diagram. Well, quite a standoff. Solar has lost 7,000 more resources, 1,800 more gas. Caduceus reactor queued up behind. And Solar is running out of options for a direct engagement. He needs to pick a base and hit it. He's just gonna go straight. The Ghost behind the walls. He can't trade evenly. He cannot let Cure have that bottom right base. Technically, the 12 o'clock position has not yet been taken. So, no, not the Banelings into the rocks. Embarrassing. Not that costly, but definitely embarrassing. Parasitic Bomb is available. Throws it into the medevac, doing a lot of damage. But still... Oh, the Ultras get in, but the Ghost Cloak, he does have vision. A single Ultra can interrupt most of the shots. They get caught up on the siege tanks, line up their shots, and 2 Ultras are exploderated. The Overseers, the icing on the painful, bloody, and explosive cake. And Cure holds and drops the celebratory mules on the bottom right base. Solar will expand to the northern location. Meanwhile, Ultras, oh my, trying to break Mr. Zergachev. Tear down the, well, unfortunately, the Liberators. The Ultras unable to tear down the wall, as there's far too much above and behind it. The Corruptors on their own will take out the medevacs, but at what cost? The oh god, it's adding up. Cure is solidifying his position. Solar still has so much money, but he's really running through it quickly. 78, 25 SCVs, that's it. It's a mule-based economy over here. The income heavily in Solar's favor. which to him means I can throw away so many ultras and rebuild them. 2 more ultras in production. Liberators just unleashing volleys of incredibly high damage fire. Planetary finishes and will be removed immediately. Where are the ghosts? The ultras make it past the liberators, but there's not a... Oh, what are you gonna... Oh, that's rough. 10 more SCVs dead. Solar has managed to get rid of his entire gas bank. He's working on the minerals now. But I think about 12 ultras ago, he needed to reconsider his army composition, and now he doesn't have the gas to do so. He's like, 5 more ultras. All right, the first 15 didn't work. How about the next 5? He's lost 18, sorry. Uh-oh. And the Zerglings running by. Good splits. Where's the infestors? Well, the Liberators are doing a lot of damage to the Ultras. The Zerglings getting thinned out. Corruptors are knocking out many of the Liberators. But the army trailing behind, even a queen incinerated. Solar. Flying a little too close to the sun with this one. Marines popping up on that little doodad. Well. He's already in the hole. So it's time to keep digging. Liberator siege is up. I don't think he knew this base was here until this moment. Kier's army supply is massive. Solar was not mining gas from the outline. It wasn't that he lost all that gas. I mean, that was part of it. He's lost 4,000 more gas. But he wasn't mining gas from all his bases either. There's still... Okay, bean counter phase. Not quite there yet. There's still enough mining that neither side is completely strapped for location. Like, there's not one location you can point to and say, that's the most important. Well, you can, but it's not the only spot that's important. So we're keeping it together. Finally, 2 infestors. But I fear too little and I fear too late. And I fear fear itself. Among other things. Despite dramatic quotes to the contrary. But I also fear ghosts. Alright, very scary. How many ghosts? 8 of them, lining up their shots. The Banelings are rolling through. The orbital dies incidentally. And, well, that was a very painful exchange for everyone involved. Kier loses a lot, and the Infestor shows up like, guys, could you not have waited, like, 17 seconds? And then the Infestor waddles in and just witnesses a bloodbath. No burrow, so not that that's going to be a major factor against someone with 8 orbitals. Map hacks with extra steps. The Venn diagram of freedom looking like a radioactive hazard here, and it kind of is. Fungal interrupts the snipes. The Ultras will chew through. The Liberator's not targeting. An Infestor will die to the Liberators. That one supply depot may be tripping up the Ultra enough for everything to get their snipes off, but Cure is running out of reinforcements. The last Ultra is cleaving through. Is it enough? No. Cure drives it back, but he loses every single Liberator, every single medevac. But he still has the mining in the bottom right corner. Solar has the income, though Cure is now... Well, because Cure had so few SCVs, he's still mining from 3 bases. The fact that Solar... Just drop some creep, bro. Brenda! What? I don't... Drop some creep. Don't patronize me. Did you say Patreon? No! It's in the description. No! Don't... The only walls you guys are breaking right now are the 4th ones. Well, that's just rude. I'm sorry. All right. Well, Cure still has way more. The Greater Spire. The Greater Spire is a bit optimistic at this stage. The Zerglings are just eating the Liberator hits. He's lost nearly 27 Ultras. Oh, it's a disaster. How many Infestors? 1. 2. 1 just popped out. The Queens can take a snipe and then a tap on the shoulder to kill him. There's not that many ghosts. 5 ghosts in total. That's not really enough to kill multiple Ultras. Unfortunately, there's only 2. And the minefield here is posing quite an issue as well. He does have drilling claws. Not that that's a huge factor, but... Oh, no. Oh, has he done it? Oh, Solar. Oh, Solar. Oh, what have you done? When I'm really far ahead and I want to lose. Well, the last army that Solar can realistically build. I mean, Cure's broke as well, but the Bio Ball scales better here. But the Ultras are going to try to tip it. The Ghosts are caught out in front, which is kind of best case scenario, but the Infestors wander in. The Queens are gunned down. And Cure coming back around the Widow Mines on the back line, trying to drag the mines onto the Marines. He does a pretty good job of it. There's almost no energy left, and he just GG's as the Ultras are tanking the hits. And Cure heads to match point. Ah, Solar. What have you done? 920 Zerglings. 29 Ultralisks. And... I don't even think it was a bad idea to go for the Ultras. But the trickle-down Ultralisks are not enough. Alright, you need a more coherent attack. You need to bring it all together. It might feel like you can swing it around like a jackhammer. Which, if you can swing a jackhammer, I assume you're very, very strong. But so Solar, very strong. But still, that is not the bull in a china shop. But unfortunately, there were also some ghosts there, which made it more complicated. We lost track of things, just like Solar has lost track of this series. We're going in the King's Cove for match points. Solar with 1, Cure with 3. Cure just letting Solar dive again and again until he had nothing left. It's kind of been the story of this series of Cure just having about 20% too much for Solar to overrun. Not even really any fancy micro. He just sets up his base and puts himself in the right spot. And possession is 9/10 of the Cure. So, Well, we'll see if we can close it out. Some days, especially recently, Solar has looked like a rival to Cyril. Maybe not quite as polished, but today, looking a bit more like Cole. Which also doesn't really make sense, because you polish Cole, not polish, put a lot of pressure at diamonds. Okay, that's what we're getting to, but that wouldn't really work. You get the idea. Alright, like and subscribe to distract you from whatever I'm saying right now, as I cleanly and very subtly segue into Cure going for a command center on the low ground. No sort of proxy Rex. He didn't lose, so it's not proxy Rex time. Though I don't think that was the methodology for the match on Leylons either. I think that's just his build on that map right now. One of his 3. Solar? Looking like a one-trick pony right now, and that pony just got put down several times in a row. Going to have to mix it up. I guess he tried Hydraling Bane as well. Mutas. We haven't tried it. Oh no! The drone! He's gonna get bodied up! So, the size of the extractor is actually larger than the gas gasser. So if you have a unit, like, right next to it, it's technically in its personal space. So you can block it. That's what Kira was trying to do there. But it's hard to block both with one unit, because obviously we can't all have the waistline of your mother. So The Reaper can't get it all done, but the Queen... churlish! Insubordinate! I'm too tired for this. Okay, alright, sorry. Reaper. Oh my, it's just gonna keep going. This map doesn't really have an alternative third. You can't really take the front base. Oh no. Oh, he's gonna go. Oh, he gets it. And he gets God, but... I'd take the draw. I'd take the draw. Hashtag worth. Just for the emotional damage as well. I mean, delay the hatch a little bit. It's not like he was going to do anything crazy with the Reaper past this point. Infuriating. Overlord, he actually lifted the racks for this, which is widely considered to be a dick move in many cultures. That's how Terran writes their traditions, though. Cloak Banshee on the way. And third command center already ready to be lifted down. Hellions roast the Zergling. That's so bravely scouted forth. Double gas on the low ground. Hey, layers on... Wait, double gas on the low ground. Cure? Is this some sort of bio-curious build? Are we going... Wow! To McDonald's. 2 armories. Not only is it mech, it's like hardcore mech here. He's looking to mech it happen. Going for the armories, I assume this is going to be battle mech. Getting the mass upgrades, but... switching it up on match point on this massive map where Solar is very unlikely to scout it. You get pretty much a free 3 bases. It's unlike, like, Solar at this point is going to be preparing for the Marine tank. There's no way he scouts this. Remember, Cure lifted the barracks, which is a little bit of a tell, but not really. Like, half of the time, Terrans will do that. Or at least attempt it. The Banshee's pre-cloak. Those pesky, pesky Banshees yet again. Uncloak. Our work here is done. Drone killed. 1-1 mech weapons and armor on the way. Before the evolution chambers finish. Well, this will certainly be interesting. Now, mech, especially battle mech, Hell Clones, is very brittle. Cool. Much like Queens under fire. This is actually, how many roaches? 0, which is not very many. 1 Banshee taking down the Queens. Weathering the fire here. Transfuses. A few Queens being roasted. It's a bit of a mess. The Hellbat's trying to get damage done. The Banshee again! Yeah, well, could have been worse. Another Hellbat, another day, another Hellbat timing, another mediocre result. This one definitely doing more than our previous one, but honestly, I think the important part here was it hit while Cure is trying to tech him, while he's getting his infrastructure. You're most vulnerable with mech, 1, to like a hive tech timing, and 2, right before you get all your production online, before the Industrial Revolution is completed. So if you keep all the roaches tied up in their base, obviously they're not attacking you. Yes, it's basic math. I narrowed it down. So, he knows. 5 swarm hosts. Sir Richard and his band of swarm host brethren. Where's the Nidus? Is he just gonna go straight up Swarm Host? Without a Nidus, without the first class chauffeur? Feels uncommitted. He has to know by this point, though. Oh, he saw it with an Overseer. Okay. I was wondering. Just going Swarm Host against Marine Tank would be crazy and also very dumb because Marines just counter them. It's like, well, what don't they counter? I don't know, a drug habit? I don't know. 7 Swarm Hosts on the way. A solid choice, though he hasn't started Hive yet. Kira already has 82 SCVs. He's working on 2, too. Like, it's all going great for the People's Terran, who's finally mixing in mech. Finally, some trickle-down mechanomics. The Swarm Hosts on the front lines. Missile turrets to try to stagger the fire. Hellbats could be very helpful here, too. Missile turrets that actually shoot down locusts or force them to land. There's only a couple Cyclones here. This could be quite a wave. The friendly fire takes out a couple of the tanks. Solar with a great initial start. Now remember, the Swarm Host taking up a big chunk of the supply. So it's a bit misleading when Solar is maxed out, but I mean, you literally can't get any more, so what he needs is a Hive. I guess the Swarm Host can keep coming, but these Roaches and Ravagers, he's making progress. Kira may run out of siege tanks, especially with another Swarm Host wave loading up. I may have underestimated the effectiveness of just the straight-up Roach Ravager timing. Kira. Another wave, and another one. He staggers them, drops them down, drawing the siege tank fire in. His own tanks working against him. The backline tanks. More Roaches and Ravagers. Kira taking big hits now. And he's just building more tanks. So far, the economy is still intact. He's mining with mules while this entire fight is happening. Hazard pay. Oh, wait, they're gonna cash in their retirement. Roaches and Ravagers being roasted. The Swarm Host count has grown to 14. A Spire is on the way, clearly angling for Broodlords. Drops down on the siege tanks again. And Cure feeling confident enough to move across the map. The fact that he hasn't seen Vipers yet means that Solar is likely committed to Lair Tech. He's stuck on Lair Tech. Hive just finished, so Cure does have a big window. This is the second vulnerability window, is when Hive Tech starts kicking in. Well, now it's a vulnerability window for Solar, who just has the Swarm Hosts against Hellbat Siege Tech with 2/2 upgrades. Blue Flame is about to complete, which will help immensely against those Locusts as well. Not that they won't die to pretty much everything here. There's some optimistic Cyclones trying to drop down the Locusts. Here comes absolutely everything. Drops the Locust to draw the fire, and does indeed. Roaches and Ravagers, but he clears up the Locusts so quickly. And Solar now has a bunch of Swarm Hosts on cooldown just as Cure's army composition is heating up. But what's happening back at home? Like, how did so much damage? 15 SCVs dead to a Roach run by? Well, but it's the army knocking on the door. More like breaking it down that he has to deal with. The hatchery will be obliterated. The supply, he's supply blocked. He's losing overlords to the Cyclones. The Swarm Hosts have recharged and will desperately spew out another wave of Locusts. But without any Vipers, it's going to get harder and harder to dislodge this. Solar only has 61 drones. Another wave of Locusts drops down. And he may just barely hold. Oh, the siege tanks lived. See, 15, 19 kills. The Hellbats racking them up as well. And Cure breaks out the big mech plays. And I think he's gonna make it happen. Solar down to 140 supply. GG! Solar taps it out. Almost went the wrong direction with that. Cure takes 4. And Solar just won. Wow, a decisive victory for Cure. Solar coming up pretty far short today. Going directly into the siege tanks, the siege lines in general. The Rocky Zerg took a few too many blows to the head, but still, as expected, quite a brawl. So hopefully you enjoyed, and hopefully this Soup Live show match with the Super 7s made your day just a little bit better. Be awesome if you go check them out and follow them for free. And if you happen to be a vampire like me, you'll be able to check the matches live. Otherwise, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. And if you got the means and motivation, be awesome to check out Patreon or YouTube membership. But I hear liking and subscribing is still free, at least for now. So, but thank you to our Mule Tier patrons for bringing in the extra minerals. Big Jiggy Door, Mario, random guy in chat, in suit. Glad you still enjoy. And I hope I made your day a little bit better. I'll see you next time. Good luck. Have fun. Make sure autoplay is on the right video. And stay chill. Thank you for watching.